and I'll share it to my Facebook via the laptop.
Sweet.
Good deal.
Okay. All right. Where is my video? There we go. All right. I do believe we should be live. Let me double check here. The internet is going kind of slow.
Not up for me yet.
Yep, it just popped up. Unfortunately, it didn't let me use that other link.
So, Bo, do you live in West Virginia or Virginia?
West Virginia. I live in Panhandle.
Okay. So, are you number 198 in West Virginia now?
Yeah, right hand I am number 198. And then technically left hand I'm number 2, but it's only because I haven't got to face junior yet. I feel like if I face junior left hand, I'd probably be number 1.
Gotcha.
But I run the rankings, but being that I haven't beaten him, I'm not putting myself above him.
Yeah. Yeah, which is good. That's good.
And then you're number 1 at 220 and 242, right?
Man, no, I'm number 1 at 220, left and right-handed. I've beat a lot of supers and a lot of 42s in Ohio. Arguably one of the best supers in Ohio, who's Tyler Irwin. We had a good little fight last year, last summer. Which that's always fun. I love pulling the supers now, man. I mean, being at 220, I walk around about 230. So it's perfect because I can show up to these tournaments and pull 242s and supers, and I'm strong enough to be competitive because I'm walking around that heavy.
Yeah.
But I'm not too small to where somebody blasts me in a hook and I'm just dead, So it's nice for sure. I think it's fun. I get more enjoyment out of that than I do, pulling my own weight class at a local tournament. So
especially because as long as you're fast in the super heavies, dude, you can have a big advantage on those guys.
Oh, huge, dude. And I don't load. Like whenever I pull, I don't load in the setup at all. Like I'm completely, Yeah, so these supers, it drives them crazy because they're trying to load everything, so they can slam me in a hook. And I'm not letting it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. The Drew 24, he figured it out. He's in there.
But I feel like when you're number
Adam?
1 in your respective state, kind of competing around those weight classes. Like if you're number 1 at 198, I'd imagine you probably aren't going to pull a local tournament at 198 very often.
No.
You're probably pulling 220. I mean, there's no reason to cut for that.
That's exactly like Eli's competition last December. It was either 190 or 220, and I said, I'm not cutting the 190 for this. So I just walked in at I think I weighed in at 217 or 215 that day.
Ooh.
And I did, yeah. Well, actually, January 1st, I weighed 222. And then I cut down.
But that's right after Christmas. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And New Year's, I was drinking. I haven't drank since the 1st either.
So that's good. That's good, man. That keeps you focused.
Oh, yeah. The drinking's really what puts the weight on me, too. That's cut that out. My diet's been clean ever since January 1st, and the weight's just been pouring off. I actually just stepped off the scale before I hopped on here, and I weighed 195.6.
Huh. Jeez.
So my weight's looking real good for nationals.
Oh, yeah. You're pulling 190 at nationals. That's in 5 weeks, I think.
Yep. 189.2, and I'm going to be on the dot because as soon as I weigh in, I'm going to be 202 the next day, 200, 202.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll be good.
I'll be pounding all the water and then steaks and pasta until my belly's huge.
I think I'm going to show up and pull right-handed. I don't have any expectations right-handed. I'm just going to kind of have fun with it. It's the week after my match with Brandon, so I'm not going to pull left.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm excited for that.
I am too, man. I feel great. Training's going great. My nutrition, my hydration, my sleep, everything's just kind of doing pretty good, aside from Thursday or Friday at the Arnold, just arm wrestling for hours and pulling a bunch of different people, blowing myself up a little bit. Aside from that, I've been pretty disciplined on, not overdoing it on the table to where I can still train throughout the week.
Awesome.
Heavy, I would like to touch base on that too. A lot of people don't factor in their sleep and their nutrition, and they don't take it as serious as I think they should. And I'm not saying you need to eat like a bodybuilder or physique competitor that's getting ready to compete, but just using when you look at a plate full of food, look at it like fuel, not something you're going to enjoy, because at the end of the day, as athletes, we all enjoy winning. So that's kind of what my mindset has transferred to, is like anything that's on my plate is more of a fuel.
Mm-hmm.
I drink these Powerade Zeros,
Mhm.
aside from drinking like a lemonade or something, because I love lemonade, especially in the summertime, man. It's awesome. But
Oh yeah.
Dude, whenever you guys are, in shape and eating healthy, man, dude, you eat that McDonald's? Oh my goodness, just
oh,
totally
it's so good.
ruins.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's
Dude,
so good, dude.
it tastes great, but man, whenever I was eating healthy and stuff, and you eat that McDonald's and just garbage, it would just wreck my body.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing like eating super clean. It's the same way with like if you're super hydrated, drinking gallon and a half water a day, and then all of a sudden you like open up a Mountain Dew or something. You just feel drained, like you feel droggy.
dude, that sugar just smacks your system. It's nuts.
It does. It does for sure.
Me and my daughter had brunch there the other day, and she had not eaten that morning yet, and she had like these two big huge pancakes with chocolate chips. And man, I tell you what, she went into a carbohydrate comatose. She was, oh, I'm so tired on the way home. And then I took her back up to Kent for school, and she was just passed out in the car. I was like, oh my goodness, those carbs hit her hard. Man, it spikes that insulin level, man. I tell you what, it's slightly damaging in my opinion, but I'm not a nutritionist, so.
Yeah, and it's really hard to. I can't imagine how hard it is being a nutritionist, because everybody's body being so much different, the way they respond to different foods.
Oh yeah.
That
Mhm.
would be crazy stressful. I mean, you got 10 people that are all eating different diets because they respond differently.
Yeah.
If you feed them the wrong thing, they're upset with you. They're not upset at the food.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the diet I've been doing for the past, leading up to Arnold's, I was doing chicken, rice, and broccoli. Except the last week I cut out the rice and I just did chicken and broccoli.
Yeah.
And then now leading up to nationals, I'm doing chicken and broccoli, but just less of each.
Yeah, that's another thing, man. People don't ever, people will go from a really shitty diet to something really healthy. Then they don't control their portions. They'll eat double what they did, and at the end of the day, calories are calories. I could lose 20 pounds eating McDonald's every day if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Being in a caloric deficit is what's going to make you lose that weight. And people have a huge problem with that. They'll put a little bit of food on their plate, a little bit of healthy food, they'll kill it, and then they're like, "Oh, dude, I'm still hungry. I'm gonna go eat more. It's okay because
Yeah.
it's healthy." No, if it's too much, like
That's
you're 500 over.
yeah. That's the funny thing. Like McDonald's wise, I've been at McDonald's in probably 6 years. I haven't drank a soda in probably 6 or 7 years. I just
Dang.
And I've never counted calories either. I just, from wrestling, I've always known what to eat and kind of like how much I should eat when I want to lose weight. So it's just
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of where I'm at from that wrestling background in high school, and then I boxed after high school, so I had to cut massive amounts of weights for that too. I kind of just get to the point where I know my body. Like if I were to, start a weight cut beginning of this week or whatever, small weight cut, I must know what I'm going to wake up at the next morning, or
yep,
targeted weight. Like, and if I'm not on point, then there's, something else going on. Maybe the sodium was a little high. Cut that out just a little bit, because you never want to completely drop it. You don't want to completely dehydrate yourself to where you're just dead, 2 days before weigh-ins.
oh yeah.
At least me. But
Plus, I think that it heightens the risk of injury. We're not live yet, are we?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah, the risk of injury gets so much worse whenever you
Oh, it's
deplete your
huge.
body of water.
It's huge, man. That's why my for my weight cuts, I try to just, eat a little bit less the week of. And then if I have to cut a little bit of water, it's only a few pounds. It's not, some massive 10-pound water cut that,
Yeah,
I'm dying in a sauna for 5 hours. It's nothing crazy.
there's
The
a
way you see a lot of UFC fighters getting hurt and getting beat up because their weight cuts are brutal. They'll have people forcing them in a sauna for hours, and
what
Yeah.
was
they're
that one?
passing out
What was
on the
that one?
scale.
Josh Koscheck, you remember seeing that way back when he had like the blonde hair, and then they were like dragging him back into the sauna.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Dude,
I think was that on Ultimate Fighter.
I think so. I think that's what
Yeah,
it was, and that has stuck with me forever. When I think about weight cutting, I just think about him just banging on the door, "Let me out, let me out," and then
dude.
them just dragging him back in, and oh my goodness.
My
Oh,
gym actually just got saunas, and the cool part is my gym's 5 minutes away from me, so I no longer have to fill a bathtub up full of hot water, put a towel in front of the threshold, and put a space heater in there and get it up to 100
mhm.
degrees and just suffer. I'm able to just get in a sauna and do it, that way, which is nice. But I cut weight like that for years, and it works. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But if there's a little more efficient way of doing the same thing,
Oh yeah.
probably do that.
All right, guys. We got a few people in here. We got a few comments. We're going to go ahead and start the show. I know we've been talking for a few minutes, but I want to welcome everybody to the Winning Side podcast, hosted by myself, Billy Collins, and my co-host, Cody Smith.
That's me.
Yeah. On the show tonight, we got the one and only Arnold champion at 198 pounds, right hand, Mr. Bo Horner.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. We
Yes,
gotta find a good nickname for Bo now.
I was called the Pit Bull at one time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Where did that go? Why did that fall off? Why did people stop calling you that?
I don't know. I mean, it's still my TikTok name, but my buddy, whenever
I
I
think
first,
you're too humble for that. You're too humble for that nickname. So I think we gotta. It's like a superhero kind of name. We gotta look for something like that. In that realm. Like, yeah, Commander Bornstar said, Bo Horner is my hero.
What's up, bro?
So we got a few people in here. The Drew 24's here. Adam Finley's already in the chat. Ivan Marrero Jr. He's here. They're congratulating you on your victory, Bo.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
That's what I appreciate you being here on the podcast. Congratulations, Bo. That was definitely a great win. Anytime you go into the Arnold and compete at the Arnold, that's a big stage. No matter who's there, the pressure's on, and to come out with the victory is definitely admirable.
Yeah, thank you. It was really nice getting to see where I'm at against some of these guys from like different countries and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
First guy I faced, he's Peruvian, and then I had two Americans back to back. And from what I know of, the one guy had been a past winner of the Arnolds, and I didn't realize that until after the fact. And then I faced the Canadian twice in the finals,
Nice.
Jordan.
Let's talk a little bit about your preparation and everything for the tournament for Arnold's, and just kind of tell us what your mindset was going up, training for it and everything. And obviously you already hit a little bit on your nutrition and whatnot, but maybe talk about a little bit about your training and like you said, your mindset leading up to the event.
So my mindset, I was really focused on strength leading up to it. And then I'd say a month out, you're not going to get much stronger within the last month. You might get like maybe 1% stronger, maybe 2. But I just focused on maintaining my strength from week 4 to beginning of week 2. And then the last practice I always do is 14 days out. I don't like to do much table time for 14 days before a competition. And once I hit that 14th day, Then the next 7 days, I will just, the highest I'll go on my lifts is about 90%, 85, 90%. And then that last week, I'll do no higher than 80%, usually between 70 to 80. And I'll focus more on the speed aspects and try and get my timing down. And yeah.
How do you gauge? How are you able to tell what your 85, 90% is?
Okay. So, like, example, I do a lot of side pressure exercises, especially like I do side pressure on either my shoulder day or my chest and tri day. And like example, if I can do, I did 112 for like 5 reps on side pressure, something like that, 112, 110. So from there, 90% of that, around 90 pounds, 90, 95 pounds. So I won't go,
Oh, you're just gauge, you're just cutting back 90 pounds. You're just using the weight.
yeah.
Okay. I thought
Yeah.
you were meaning like, oh, you were only going 90%. Yeah.
No, I still go, I try to base it off of the actual weights that I do.
Good
So
man.
then I know more of a specific percentage.
Good man.
Yeah. And I'll do like higher reps too. Like I'm not gonna do singles, or I'm not gonna do like fives leading up. I might, at the lowest I'll do 5, but usually I'm doing like 8s or like maybe 12s. 8s is like a really good medium for me because you're hitting that muscular endurance and that muscular strength at the same time.
I got you.
I do want to touch base on that. First person I really talked to that trains, similar to how I train in that aspect, not training for max numbers, hitting heavy-ish numbers, but within a, realistic rep range to where it's going to translate to the table, because your 1 rep max is never going to translate to the table in a tough match. You have that, strength for 2-3 seconds, and you need that drive throughout the entire time. And I think that's huge. I think that's something that a lot more people need to focus on and start training that way. And also, I think it leaves the risk of injury super low, and kind of keeps you motivated. You're not failing. You're not doing singles, so you're not failing. So you're not getting mentally discouraged leading up to events. And I think that's huge. Just wanted to say that before we got on to something else there.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your guys' thoughts on the aspect of endurance? Now, it's been said that a lot of people just don't really train for endurance. They, the stronger you are, the more endurance you have, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you use less strength, the stronger you are. But, if you're able to, I'm just asking you guys this, like, so sometimes I'll do a lot of reps, and then, I concentrate on breathing through all of the reps, you know what I mean? So, do you guys think that, to gain some endurance for those hard matches, is it better just to be strong, or are you actually going to train some endurance, some lightweight, high reps, for long sets?
Yeah, so I think your arm is only really going to ever be as strong, and your entire body is only ever going to be as strong as what your core is. So training your core, I think, is huge. Doing 5 reps of just bracing as hard as you can, and doing those 5 reps, then breathing, doing another 5 reps, something like that is going to help a lot. Kind of like you're surging on the table, or you're stuck in a hook on the table. Um, I think that's huge. I think training endurance is huge. I mean, there's a lot of super strong dudes, man, and they get gassed out in the first 2 rounds of a tournament, or the first round of a super match, and it's not always their hand, it's not always their wrist, not always their arm. Sometimes it's just their entire body. When you're walking around in a big, you have a lot of muscle, it takes oxygen for everything to just to perform. I think training that muscular endurance is huge, along with the strength. Without it, I mean, I don't really think being strong matters if you can't, kind of display that over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches.
Yeah.
What's your guys' thoughts on maybe like a 85, 80% of your, your max or whatever it is, nice heavy hold, right? And then just holding it, getting into a good position, like as if you were stopped and then you had to, crawl back into a match, and then it's just hard, center table, back and forth. What is your guys' thoughts on doing a heavy hold, center table, and then just focusing on your breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, just holding it for time?
So one thing I like to do is I can't remember the exact name of it, but Todd Hutchins does it. It's where you have a wrist wrench, for example. Bang, you hit into it, but you have a chain that's attached to where your pulley's at. So you're holding that static pressure like this. And I'll hold that for a couple seconds, and then I'll come back. Because if you lose that tightness, isometric. If you lose that tightness in the chain, you're not giving, if it's 50 pounds, you're not giving 50 pounds that entire time if that chain goes loose. So you got to keep that constant tension on that chain and then come back and then hit that chain again and hold it. You know what I mean?
But what I'm saying is use a lighter weight, slightly lighter weight than whatever. So if you're losing that tension on that chain in 3 seconds, your arm is gassing out at that point, right? Yeah. You lose the tension. So what I'm saying is lighten the weight just a little bit to where you can really get into a nice coiled position, and then focus on your breathing, like literally just focus on your breathing and then holding that position.
So I think, I think breathing and bracing is number one in the sport of arm wrestling over top of everything. Just like, in any other strength sport, if you don't know how to breathe and brace properly, you're not moving load. You're going to get hurt. You're not moving load. You're not moving efficiently. I think that is almost best done because it's kind of a conditioning aspect, of course. So I think at your table practice, getting on there with somebody, not trying to pull through them, not trying to have them pull through you, but holding, about 60 to 80%. 80% is pretty high because that's something, that, 80% is pretty high. It's probably like 60 to 70% holding in a good spot, 10 to 15 seconds, switch to a different angle and just attack those different angles because you're conditioning those different angles without getting ripped open and beat up and tore up. And I actually got in a conversation at the Arnold with a couple dudes who they live up in the Northeast now, but they're from Peru. And they talked about how their table training, they never get sore afterwards. And I've kind of been preaching this for a little while now. I think too many of us go to these table practices and pull for 3 hours and beat each other up. Then all week we're useless. And every time I tell people this, I kind of get mixed responses. Some people think it's a great idea to practice and train that way, and others kind of brush it off and say, we're not going to get any better. You're not going to get any stronger. I think it's a practice like any other sport. If you want to get good at the sport of arm wrestling, you need to practice the fundamentals of arm wrestling and drill those, not practice how strong you are against your teammates or, how good your hand is and things like that. And that's why you see Devin, when he practices a lot, man, he'll get in some really bad positions and just hold those there. And, he's not having to go 100% to do that, but he is just drilling those angles.
Yeah.
And I guarantee he wakes up the next day feeling just fine, And I think if you can get yourself to that point, because really our connective tissues aren't meant to get beat up on like they do after a 3-hour practice. And it's really hard to recover from that, and not recover to the point to where there's no pain, but just your central nervous system in general recovering from that, that amount of stress on your body is just crazy. It can throw your entire week off. And if we're trying to build horsepower throughout the week, so that way it can translate to the table, I think practicing what we need to do on the table is great. If you want to ramp that up before a competition, great. You're tapering before a comp, that's fine. But I think really just working on what you need to get good on the table or what you struggle with on the table, you do that at a practice. Working on getting stronger is done in the weight room throughout the week.
Yeah.
And I think once you find that perfect balance where it's like, okay, I can train hard throughout the week and I can do what I need to do on the table, then you start, that's for me personally, that's when I started seeing the levels go up. I started seeing myself progress, and it was when I was not tore up every single week.
Yeah. And I like practicing like with my guys in Kaiser. I like practicing like catching in a bad position, letting them work. I'm like starting to open my bicep up and like trying to work my hand and cup them back in.
Oh yeah.
Still keeping that lock on my bicep. Because to be honest, I noticed this weekend at the Arnold that helped me a lot because my speed was lacking off the go. Like I think every person actually got me on the go in all of my matches, but I was able to use. I was stronger in them, so I was able to sink that hook in and bring them back. And I think that's partially the training that I've been doing with my guys in Kaiser.
And man, you practice how you play. And I don't mean this to sound bad, but when you're a little, when you're stronger than some of your training partners, a lot of people see that as a negative thing. Like they can't get work from weaker guys. You can get way better work from weaker guys because they're not going to hurt you. That's like how much volume can you get? You're a 400 pound bench presser. You can get way more volume with 275 than you can 365.
Oh yeah.
Of course, if you're trying to get stronger leading up to peaking, then working at that heavier rep range or heavier weight, lighter, shorter rep range, whatever, is going to be more beneficial. But within a practice, man, just getting that volume in. The best wrist curls I ever did was with somebody's actual hand.
Yeah.
Not with a wrist wrench, not with a wrist max, not with a, the end of a barbell, a fat grip. The best wrist curl, the best hand workout I've ever gotten is from, other people on the table. And I think that's great. And I actually started doing kind of the same thing, working a lot of catching and pulling from different angles because you're going to have that happen, know. And
you got to train in bad positions.
You don't train it, man. It's like a foreign thing to you. You can get, blindsided pretty quick.
And another good thing is about like having those, like you said, training partners that are a little bit weaker. It's I equate that to like the same thing as when you're in the gym, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the gym, you don't go 100% every single day because you will never get stronger if you go 100% every day.
You get hurt. You're
gonna get hurt.
Injury goes through the roof.
So that's why, like for example, like my guys in Kaiser, we have a pretty good team. But if I want like 100% hard balls to the wall day, I'll go up to Rockwood at Zach Lee's practice because I know like Logan's up there, Zach's up there. Eli will be up there, Justin, Mark, all those really strong guys, Dave. And whenever I go against those guys, I'm going, 85 to 100% every single time against those guys. So it's good. Like it's been about 2 months I've got to go up there, 2 months or so. But, if you want a real good hard practice when you're 2 months out from a competition or even a month out, that's perfect. And then for those last 2 weeks, train with your normal guys and just focus on those little movements, working your hook. For me, my top roll, everybody knows I don't really top roll right-handed. So I'll work my top roll on those guys while I'm letting them work their hook.
Gotcha.
I think it prevents injuries too, training that way.
Real quick, guys, let's check out the chat. Let's see here. Shaden D.
What up, Shaden?
Shaden, he said, if you want to wrestle back in the day, Pitbull makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that was back in the day.
Trevor Moden, he popped a couple questions in here so we can think about this. What do you do for speed, and how do you guys deal with elbow soreness?
So personally for me, the speed, I like to get bands, and I'll attach the band around the leg of the table and bring it up over the corner, and I'll work my speed with that. And if you don't really need a ton of bands for that, just get like a medium-sized band and work your speed up. In your head, think ready, like do your thumb, hand ready, go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, I train a lot of ready goes because I'm an explosive puller. And if you want those fast twitch muscle fibers to fire, then you need to train them.
Yeah.
So ready goes in practice, hitting for position, not to pin all the time, but just ready go to get to where you need to go. In doing that. And I mean, it takes a lot, but it's the same way with, with somebody who's training just to get more explosive within any sport. You have to train those explosive movements if you want to be explosive. And the inner elbow pain, I would just say tons of volume targeting that elbow. It's going to hurt a little bit, but blood's a natural healer. Push as much blood through that thing, get it to where you feel like your arm is jello. Heat and ice therapy, rinse and repeat. And
dude,
that's what helped me.
Everybody coming up, if you do enough lightweight JM presses, you are going to feel wonderful.
And then hammer curls. That's what I'll do. I'll take dumbbells, do dumbbell rollovers.
Yep.
Do 25 of those, then 25 hammer curls with 20-pound dumbbells. do
Boom.
3 sets of 25. You get a crazy good pump, and your elbow starts healing. And
Yep.
heat and ice therapy, keep inflammation down. You don't need to mess with ibuprofen. Quit
You know,
beating your liver up, people.
yeah,
Quit
don't
putting that shit in your body. It's
yeah,
not good.
the ibuprofen for sure. I
Yeah.
learned
I agree about the elbows because, like for bench press day, I start off with my bench, warm up my shoulders. I'll bench. As soon as I'm done bench, I'll leave 135 on. I'll do some JM presses. And if I feel like going heavier that day, I'll go heavy. And as soon as I go from JM presses, exactly like you said, get the dumbbells and work them elbow. And man, your elbows are already so flared up from bench.
Great, man. You feel that stretch on the tricep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's great. And it transfers to the table. Heavy tricep work transfers to the table. You get into a press. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's so easy to knife down on somebody's bicep when they're gassed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially you get into a hook war with them. Yeah, it's great.
So,
um,
Gotta train
what's
it.
up, Jamie?
we got Josh Bunner. He says,
What's up, Josh?
"Congrats, Bo. Way to go."
Thank you. Appreciate it, bro.
He said he oh man, he hit a Muddy River Boys practice for the first time in a while, and he said he was toast for 10 days.
Got to push that blood into your arms, man. That's the best way to recover.
So he said he also needs to learn how to dial it back at practice too. Yeah.
Yeah, and dude, that's gonna take you so long because you
Oh,
have to find where your
It's up here.
max is. Yeah.
It's up here.
'Cause,
It's
dude, you might feel good
first
in
year, dude.
practice.
Pullers are out to prove something to themselves, not
Yep.
really to anybody else. They're learning, and they're like, oh, what can I do to get better so I make myself feel better? You know what I mean? Like,
And it's fun. I mean, it is
It
fun
is
to go
fun.
hard at practice.
yeah,
But when you're competing, like, I call it arm wrestling season. And that's from spring to fall because there's so many tournaments. There's a tournament every weekend between spring and fall.
oh,
And then
100%.
wintertime, it slows down, of course. You got, so, but anyways, during the arm wrestling season, I'm not practicing hard. I'm competing every other weekend or once a month, whatever. I'm competing enough to where, like, my hard practices,
Yeah, that
I'm
is
redlining out a tournament,
yeah,
And I
exactly.
think a lot of people get mixed up in that, man. They start practicing hard at the same time as when they're competing, and then they just overdo it. Everything accumulates, and next thing you know, they're not pulling for a month.
And that's the one thing I realized, like, that's the one thing that made me go to 2 weeks with no table time before a competition. Because at one point in time, I was doing a hard table practice the week before a competition,
Ooh.
and then I hurt my elbow. I hurt a tendon in my elbow. And then I
Yep.
was like, all right, maybe I'll drop it back 2 weeks. And ever since then, man, I feel so much better. And my practice that I did right before the Arnold's 2 weeks before, Tim Lewis and Hunter Ayers came down and practiced with me and a few guys. Dude, we went for 3 hours and we were tore up. And I was even kind of nervous. I was like, man, I went a little harder than I was expecting to this practice, but 2 weeks off and I felt fresh.
Nice.
You got to have it, man. I've tried competing back-to-back weekends, and you got like 2 solid matches in you when you do that, and then you're
Yep.
toast.
Dude.
It all
Especially if
flares
like
back
your
up.
first match is a banger.
Oh, yeah, dude. You might as well just get in your car and go home after that. Like, you're done. I mean, oh, God, that's horrible.
We got Adam Finley said hammer curls are his favorite for
Me
it.
as well. I
Oh,
love
It's
him.
great, man. They hit the brachialis, and if you're having that brachialis pain, they're great.
Yeah.
Even I will say also easy bar reverse curls and then suicide grip with it. Man, it blows it up. It's amazing.
Especially that outside for sure.
Yeah, the brachyradialis, man, it's incredible.
Yep. We got Lucky in the chat. She says, "Hey y'all." She did wonderful at the event also.
What up, Lucky? Congratulations
Howdy.
on 3rd place.
Yep. Jamie James, he said, "Yeah, boy, what up, brothers?"
What up, bro?
Trevor said, "Thanks for the info, guys." Jamie, he said, "Who's that stud behind you, Bo?"
Oh, this guy right here.
Yeah.
Oh, and look what he's wearing. He's got one of these right here. Hold up. Where's it at? There we go.
There you go. Nice. Those things are, salad plates.
Oh, dude, this thing's almost as big as my head.
That's great. That's awesome. So let's get back to, we talked a little bit about the lead up and stuff and everything. Your food that you went into, you weren't you weren't cutting a whole lot for the event, was you?
So I think it's better to start cutting out. For me personally, I like to start my weight cut like 2 months ahead of time. So then I don't have to kill myself the last week because I've cut 17, 18 pounds in a week before. And
Right.
you're just deadbeat tired the whole week. For
Mhm.
some guys, they love that. But for me, I'd rather just do a long cut and then walk in. And like the day before, I might have to lose 2 or 3 pounds. And then for me,
Yeah.
that's easy.
That's
I'll just
perfect.
go in the sauna and then I'll do a sauna for about an hour. And then, I just won't eat that night. And usually I make weight relatively easy.
Mhm. I like starting to cut back. I could probably do in easily 10, 12 pounds, within like 5 days, easy.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I keep it about 10 pounds though. Because I
Mhm.
mean, at one point in my
Yeah,
career when I was
exactly.
at
Yeah, you don't
198,
want to get 25 pounds over your
yeah.
actual.
If
You
I see myself
know,
start getting closer to 235, I'm like, all right, dude.
He's all
Calm
right,
down a little bit,
cut back on that McDonald's, baby.
It's hard, man. It's hard because when you start getting a little heavier, your lifts start going up. You start feeling
Oh
like
yeah,
Superman. You're like,
yeah,
242 doesn't sound that bad. No, 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 cut it back.
yeah. Well, I mean, it comes down again to for you, Cody, yourself. I mean, you could still be competitive in a 242 class, on the national level. I don't know, maybe,
I don't know.
but
I
at
can see it
20,
in the future for sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
give it another 5 years. I can see myself, one of my biggest goals in the sport of arm wrestling was to get competitive with the big guys.
Yeah.
I don't have the frame to be a super heavyweight at my age, my size right now. But, who's to say in the next 5 years, that could change. There's plenty of super heavyweights that aren't the tallest guys out there. They don't have the biggest hands. You just got to find what works for you. But I think it takes time. I would never want to just try to jump. I mean, I've been pulling 220s now since 2022. That was when I did my last 198. And it's actually funny you say that, Bo, because I cut 18 to 20, I think, for the BAL event that I had.
Nice.
And cut from like, I think it was like 216 or 218, something like that, to 198 in a
Yeah.
week. And then I had to do it again because I had a super match the following weekend left-handed with Logan Cooper. So I did it again, and that second weekend, because I gained the weight back, of course, then to cut it again because I wanted to get strong, of course, wanted to rehydrate. So I don't think I got all the way up to 216 again. I think I probably got to like 208, 209, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But those two, cuts back to back like that. I mean, dude, I got sick for like a week after that. I mean, it just tore my body down. I was fried. I was done.
Yeah. And another thing is like,
Rough.
if you do a cut like that and you compete the same day you weigh in, it's rough.
Oh,
But
it was 24 hours, man.
never.
I'm to the point
yeah,
where if I'm
see,
cutting
that's
weight for
different.
anything, it's got to be a 24-hour
Yeah.
weigh-in because the risk of injury, like none of us are. We're professional athletes. None of us are making a living from this.
No.
And if I have to risk my connective tissue and my muscle fibers being torn apart because of a 10-pound or 15-pound weight cut, because you won't let me weigh in the day before,
Right.
like it's not worth it.
Let's make sure that any new guys that is watching the show right now do not, and I repeat, do not compete the same day you do a big cut. If you got to cut
Yeah.
1 or 2 pounds, no big deal.
I actually encourage, man. I encourage the new
You know,
guys not to cut weight.
Yeah.
Go in there healthy, carbed up, completely hydrated. When you're
Yes.
learning the sport, you're not going for first place. You're going for progress.
Yeah.
And it's the same way with a newer power lifter or anything like that. You're just trying to get on the platform within that sport and put numbers on the board so you have something to compete with next time. And I think, newer guys get into the sport 6 months in are like, oh, I got to cut 10 pounds. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
No.
You haven't been doing this long enough, man. You don't, you build up a lot of bone density within the sport, within your first year, especially, I don't know if anybody remembers the new guy gains you get from when you first start working out.
Oh yeah.
Like at 14 years old, your bench press starts going up 80 pounds in like a year. Like you get those newbie gains. You get the same thing from arm wrestling almost, but it's more so within the conditioning and the bone density aspect of the sport. I mean, you just build, you kind of build your arms a different way. And I think it's super important, which is why it hurts so bad.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, weight cuts. Yeah.
Yeah. New guys do not do any weight cuts. I would say wait
If you want to
until
lose 2
2
pounds,
years, maybe 2 years.
it
And then
depends on
doing it?
your progression, your background. If you were like me and Bo wrestled and we boxed, we had experience with cutting weight. So we knew how our bodies, kind of would function when we did cut. Because
Yeah.
for
Yeah, what
wrestling,
the reaction was. Yeah,
for
what the
wrestling, you got to cut the same day and compete.
Oh yeah, dude. You have to used to, like, from wrestling. You just have to get
Dang,
used to competing while you're like dog tired.
Just horrible. Yeah, that's why like the most important part of a wrestling practice was sparring at the very end of practice when you were just beat up.
Oh yeah.
And then the conditioning after that. If you weren't able to condition after all that wrestling, then you weren't going to make it. You weren't going to do much in the second. If you're a first period wrestler,
Yeah.
that's it for you.
Bo Lucky said, congratulations on your first, Bo. You killed it.
Thank you, Lucky. I appreciate you.
Man, here's another one. Bunner, he said he gained so much this winter. He's sitting at 200. He just pulled 76s in November.
I was about to say, Josh, I thought you was a 76 guy.
Yep. He pulled 76 and he looked good. And he's sitting at 200. See, it's easy, man. Winter time. It's tough.
It does it.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's that McDonald's is what it is.
And if you work a physical labor job, then in the summertime, anyways, you're automatically going to lose. Like if you keep your same diet, for me, and for instance, if I keep my same diet right now all the way through summer, I'm going to lose 5 pounds during the summertime just from it being a little hotter out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an outside guy. I like doing things. The wintertime, I'm cooped up. Man, it's hard. I've got to really be disciplined to stay away from that 240-pound, that line.
That's a thick Cody Smith at
Oh
2.
Yeah.
man, I think the heaviest I ever got up to. Now, granted, this was with clothes on. I ate a whole pizza. I weighed in after I ate because I was pulling
Man.
super. So I was like 238, fully hydrated.
Yes.
I think next morning I woke up at like 231. So like it wasn't real, but
Right.
it was cool to say that I hit the scale at 238 once.
There you go. So Bo, let's talk about the reaction of the community for you. It seems like, I tell you what, there was a lot of people excited to see you win for sure. You had a lot of people in the community that was really happy for you.
Man, the outpouring of love I got from everybody was incredible. I got so many messages. I made that post on Facebook. There were so many reactions. It was like, I think it's like over 400 reactions. It was really incredible, and I appreciated everybody that took the time out of their day to congratulate me.
Yeah. What did I tell you earlier? It was like 4,000 views on that reel.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
let me see what it's at now. Yeah. 4,900 views.
Yeah, almost 5,000.
Yeah, and that's less than 2-3 days.
Yeah. And then I just made a post on my YouTube channel. If anybody's on here and has not subscribed yet, you should subscribe. But
did you get any haters?
Probably the guys I beat, but
Right.
not that I know of.
We're gonna have to change that. I'm gonna have to go in there and change the pace up a little bit. Keep you humble. Go ahead and take back my good job. Just delete the comment.
But
No, it is awesome though, man. Your performance was great. You pulled a lot of studs. Scott Bollinger, that win, that's huge. It's as simple as this. Fouls happen when you're uncomfortable. They don't happen when you're comfortable, when you feel fine. I think that is a good potential future super match, just because you guys both want to go there. It's gonna be a dogfight, but I think that regardless of the foul situation, I did think that you were winning that match either way. But dude, that guy's a veteran. He's pulled at the highest level and very competitive, been very, very dominant for a long time. So that's the one win that I saw that really stuck out to me, because I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I was very proud of that win, because even though I did win on fouls, technically, whenever I was in that hook on the B side, dude, I felt so comfortable. And like, even though I was
Oh,
getting
yeah.
close to that pin pad, I knew that's my good spot on the B side. I'm fine there. I'm comfortable. And I seen his elbow bobbling off anyway. So I did call. I said, hey, his elbow. And she said, no. And I was holding him there. And the only way he could get my arm down, his elbow fouled off the back by probably a good 4 inches or so. And then on that restart, when he hit in, he came in and I was still able to hook it. And I would have felt very comfortable where he was at right there. But Scott, I have a lot of respect for him. He is a very strong individual.
He's a good dude, man. He's a really good dude too. I like Scott a lot.
I bet.
I've seen him just, be super dominant at Michigan State within the 220 class. I haven't seen him pull a whole lot at 198, but it's crazy to see him down there because the dude's a beast.
Yeah.
But
He's
yeah,
very thick, 198.
Yeah, dude. He doesn't look any different. Like, I saw him and I was like, dude, what is this? Like, you didn't go to 198 when 198 came to you? Is that what happened? Like, that you didn't have to cut. They just decided to come up to your weight here. Like, you don't look any different, dude. But no, he's still a stud, man. I think a win on Scott regardless is a great win. And again, I mean, you being in a deep hook with him and then, fouls happening, like I said, I'm a big believer in fouls don't happen unless you're uncomfortable, especially in a hook. I'm not fouling out in a match that I feel confident that I'm, taking that match every time. So
And it happened in the finals against Jordan Weed from Canada. He actually fouled out in the first round, but so we both had one foul each. And I actually fouled on purpose to get the restart because I started feeling him pull me on the B side and I felt like he had the upper hand. So I professional fouled, got the restart, and then I was able to get a deeper hook in, and I drove with my side pressure, and I seen he was right on the edge, so I just did a quick surge, and he popped right off.
yeah, man, you gotta, and that's great.
A win instead of a foul for sure. I knew it was in the losing position either way, but you know what I mean. Like sometimes refs just call an elbow foul, and because they're looking at the elbow, they're not looking at where the hand is prior to that. It's a tough thing to do.
Oh, for sure.
You know as well as I do it.
Yeah, man, that was another thing.
And it's hard to kind of generalize.
Yeah.
All of that happening at once. It's tough.
You hear it out in the crowd, a little bit of controversy from the reffing. My opinion, I've seen bad reffing. I've seen good reffing. I thought the reffing was great. People just don't like to see people get fouls. That's the issue.
Yeah.
The
reffing looked fine to me.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how hard of a job reffing actually is, especially within a high caliber event.
Oh yeah,
you're not going to get.
You got more than just a couple pullers there. You got
man. I mean,
watching.
If reffing was a cakewalk, we wouldn't watch Devin pull on East versus West for 45 minutes for his match. There's a reason that this happens. It's a strategy, but reffing's not easy. And it's easy from the stands or from the audience, the crowd, whatever, to see the little micro fouls that the ref might miss. The ref is watching two people arm wrestle, both the head and the down ref, watching two people's elbows. Their hands are watching every little thing. And sometimes things get missed, and sometimes things get called that some people think shouldn't. But at the end of the day,
guys that do those quick flash pins, and they barely even get it to the line, but then they just stop and they come right back up to the middle. It's like, you did that so fast, I can't make a guaranteed call whether that actually went below the line or not.
Oh yeah, it's a hard thing, man. And imagine you're in that situation at the Arnold in the finals or something.
Yeah,
somebody flashes a guy half inch above the pin pad. If you call that pin, you're the bad guy. If you don't call the pin, you're a bad guy. It's a lose-lose situation.
And then nobody actually knows during live, but whenever they rewatch the video 3 times after, an hour after the match, they're like,
they get mad.
That's terrible.
Yeah, why
did they get mad at the ref?
Yeah.
If you miss an elbow foul that's that high, or if you miss something that's just right in your face, I get it. Say whatever you want. But the little stuff that you had to go back on film and instant replay.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's something we need to see within arm wrestling more. And I know we see it within super matches, but even some higher level tournaments. And I know this would take longer, but a lot of people train hard for these high level tournaments. And if I'm training hard for a tournament, and something gets called, I would like the chance to be able to, challenge that if it's something that's, not 100%, man. Because, for instance, you travel across the country, you prep for something, you cut weight, you make the weight, you pay the entry fees, you get to the final, something happens, kind of a, you know, kind of a weird situation. You got to be able to have that reassurance, that it's just nice, in my opinion. And I think you can at certain events.
Yeah, I'll say at VAL in Virginia, I think it's pretty cool what they do. They have somebody recording the matches, and let's just say I think you fouled, right? Well, they have someone recording that video, and you can attest it. You pay $20 to attest that foul. If you get it right, like they actually did foul, they give you the 20 back. But if you get it wrong, they keep the 20.
You're paying for time.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying for time. Time is money. I get that 100%. I am a cheap guy, so I'll probably just be like, all right, dude, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Just keep the foul.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. It's not. I mean, I don't know, unless it's something that, like, okay,
Yeah,
we both know. Then I'm gonna be paying the 20. I'm getting it back. Like, if I'm not getting it back, for sure. Because that's another that's another thing, man. I mean, you can't have people challenging these calls 24/7.
Yeah.
Minimum,
That's
you test the call, and then the refs get together, talk it over. At minimum, that shouldn't
I
be.
think the super matches, you see that a lot more. I think, higher level events in the finals, that's one thing. I don't think within the tournament itself, within, the A and B side, the first, second, third round of the tournament, we're not challenging nothing. Okay. The refs are fresh. You got to think of that too. Billy, you've repped a ton. How, mentally draining is that? You get to a finals match or something.
This is exactly, Bo, you remember how we ran November? This is exactly why I wanted to do the pros first.
Yeah.
Because referees get exhausted about halfway to 3/4 through the event. You know what I mean? A lot of the times we're just saying, all right, let's just go. Get it.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
The more pullers up here. Let's keep the train moving.
Yeah.
And then about half, 3/4, man, everybody's starting to get tired. You start to I'm not saying that you're getting fuzzy vision or anything like that, but you're not, like you said, you're not as sharp as you were, 3 hours ago. So that's why I think for sure, for any tournaments, really, if you're hiring, certified refs or having high quality refs, let your pros go first.
Yeah.
So that they get the best
absolutely
thing that they can possibly get. I don't think it's fair for the refs to get the exhausted versions of the refs, at the end of the day.
Well, man, like semi-truck drivers can't drive for a certain amount of time, not because their body, is getting so tired or where they have to pull over and sleep, but it's a law to keep that logbook.
Yep.
Because, weird things happen, man. I mean, you're staring at the same stuff for hours on end, staring at the road. I don't know, like, what the furthest you've ever driven was. For me, it was Alabama. I think I drove like 14 hours straight. And I mean, towards the end of that, it was like, I thought I was on the same road. I thought I was crossing the Ohio River again.
Right.
And I can imagine it's that way with reffing, but it's at a faster pace.
And another thing is about having the pros first. It also gives the guys who are amateurs, some guys come there for their first competition ever. Well, they can go up there and watch the pros compete and be like, oh, okay, I see him doing this technique or I see him doing that technique. So that can help the amateur guys out as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now,
I get some little.
I can understand why, certain people would want to put the novice and the amateur. It's just to keep people there, depending on your venue and food and drinks and all that stuff. I understand, but these promoters aren't making money off of that. Those other people are, that are charging for it. The promoters are making whatever money off of the entry fees.
Yeah.
So if pullers are getting, tired refs, they're not going to come to your event. You know what I mean? Especially the pros, and the pros
hold a lot of events that way.
The pros hold more weight.
Yeah.
In their um, opinions of, promoters and their specific events. If they know that they're not going to get the best version of the referees at that certain event, they're not going to support it.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I don't think it takes a referee at 100% to referee an amateur and novice class. It's just, you don't have to be high firing and quick firing on
You're probably on the edge of your seat a little bit, right? I mean, I've never reffed. I think I've down reffed a couple times local tournaments, but never reffed. I mean, I can't really stand to watch a whole lot of amateurs pull. Personally, it kind of scares me. I see so much bad that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how.
Foul them. If they start to get in a bad position, dude, foul.
Yeah,
I'd rather 100%. Them be mad at me and me foul them than them break their arm.
Correct.
I've seen some really weird breaks though,
That's
man.
right,
all it takes is just that little bit of rotation.
And that's what I told you, Bo, in November. Because Bo helped me ref in November. I said, if these guys, these novice guys especially, even the amateurs, these guys get into a bad position and we tell them, get behind your arm or whatever. If we tell them to look at your hand and they're not, and we're just stopping them. That's all. We're stopping them. You get in a foul. That's it. That's all. That's good. We're not going to have any broken arms. If we can help it.
Yeah, competition with no broken arms is a good competition.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's a win for sure. For sure. Let's see. Trevor Moden said he actually went up against Jocelyn Brisson from Canada, and man, she is strong. Yeah.
Oh, Jocelyn Brisson is a freaking animal, man.
That'd be fun. He said it was just a practice match. James Matheny, what's going on, fella? He said, great job, Bo. Looking unstoppable.
Thank you, James. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So definitely the reffing is definitely a different animal than pulling. I would very much rather just go to an event and pull.
Yeah.
Go to an event and ref. Reffing
a little less stressful.
Is way more stressful, and it's way harder, more taxing on your body, more taxing on your back. You're starving by the end of it.
And there's going to be a couple people probably hate you by the end of the day.
Exactly. I mean, that comes with the territory, but you get paid for that.
Yeah.
Whether or not people are mad at you for right calls or wrong calls, it is what it is. But I mean, that's why, I try to make it worth it for the refs.
Yeah.
So where if they do get some flack, hey, you got paid for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, nobody wants to make any wrong calls, but nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to ask you guys a couple questions because me personally, and you kind of said this, the venue's making some money off of food sales, things like that. When you keep people at a tournament longer by starting with amateurs, I get that. I don't know very many pros. I mean, I don't eat like before competition unless it's like a few hours before. So like typically my breakfast the day of a competition is definitely not going to be, street tacos at the venue. And we could be there all day long and I'm not, I'm just not eating. And that's why I hate when these tournaments, drag out to pro for, 4, 5, 6 hours. Cause at that time your body, it needs the energy, but my nerves aren't letting me eat. And
a lot of the times, how many of us bring our families?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think, a lot, like you said, a lot of the pullers might not be eating, and that it very well could be true for a lot of the pullers in the pro class for sure. Nerves are high, they not really hungry because they're so focused, but everybody else that's there supporting and the families and the friends.
Oh, they're eating.
They're definitely eating and drinking and hollering and stuff. So, there's a lot that can be said for both sides of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the promoters in control of the way that the event is ran. And personally, I would rather cater to the pro class for sure.
For sure.
Well, Michigan State's, I do like how they run amateur and pro. Of course, not everybody's able to have a big enough space to run 4 tables. You
Yeah.
run 2 tables, man. You have amateurs and pros going at the same time. I think that's great too, and I think I've seen a couple tournaments where they do that. You know, amateurs on one table, pros
What
on
did
the
we do?
other.
I think we did pro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, we did pro, went light to heavy on one side and heavy to light on the other.
The only thing that sucks is when you got people double classing.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know,
Well, we
And-
didn't think that we would see a whole lot of that just because the last one was the qualifier.
yeah,
We didn't think we would see a whole lot. Now if it was, just some Joe Blow you know, tournament that we're putting on, maybe people are gonna double class, sure. But
so your qualifier was back in November, right?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when that makes sense then.
Yeah. That was a good one too. That was
Yeah.
definitely a good one.
That was fun. You had was it 140 entries or something like that?
I think it was some between 140, 150,
Yeah.
something around that.
That's a good turnout.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I mean that it's a decent turnout for Ohio. I mean, if there was less tournaments, then obviously there would be a higher number at those events. But because we have the availability of a lot of events, which is great for the sport. It's just going to smooth out those entries. And personally, I don't think a event success is measured by the entries.
That's
First,
the caliber, in
it's
my
measured
opinion.
by injuries, whether or not there's injuries. If nobody get injured, 100% success right there. Great.
Yeah.
For me personally, is God being glorified in the event. That's another major aspect of mine. And then are people happy with the venue? Are they happy with the reffing? Do they have options for food and drinks? It's just a big conglomeration of a bunch of different aspects, that sometimes you get it right, sometimes you get it wrong. It is what it is.
Yeah, man, that's something to be said about your November event too. I think Scott Bollinger competed there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's really nice to see pullers traveling 5, 6, 7 hours to your event.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing, I like to judge a lot of tournaments on that.
Yeah. They've been to a couple of our events.
Is he Indiana?
I do believe.
Yes. I think it's Western Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, like northwest ish. I'm not 100%. I've, heard different things from different people in Indiana, so it's hard telling. But I like to judge a lot of tournaments on that.
Midwest for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing them at the events for sure. I like watching Peyton Poole, the youngin.
Yeah.
Good kid. Yeah, I saw that he got an injury at the Arnold. Did you see that?
Oh, I did see that.
What happened with that? Was it just like a tendon roll or something, or?
We thought it was an arm break, but I didn't actually. I did. That's not 100% certain. That's just what it looked like.
Break, but I think I saw something on social media where he said he messed up a tendon or something.
Well, that's better than an arm break
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Especially like with the crowd there walking around. As soon as that happened, I was like, get him straight and get him off the table. You don't want spectators to seeing that, especially at event like Arnold.
How old is he?
He looked young.
Oh, he's like 15.
Yeah, man. I think something big, just my personal opinion here, and I kind of look at this, and granted, I played football as a second grade kid, and I kind of see it from a different lens now, like I wouldn't want my son taking that kind of trauma to his head at 8 years old. People can say whatever they want, you're trying to raise tough kids, whatever. When your brain is developing, man, taking those kind of hits at 8 years old is huge. And I think also when you're growing, I mean, when you're young enough to where, you're still growing to what, like you're 25, technically, when you're still developing. I think, just the way your bones and your body is developing as a whole, I think a sport that is causing a lot of trauma on those on those things can just be, almost counterproductive. Not within terms of the sport. If you want to get really good, be a really good arm wrestler, sure, do it. But at the end of the day, man, we all got to live, a life after this. And I kind of look at football that way too, because in high school, a lot of high school football coaches, man, they don't care what you're going to do after high school, what you're, going to where you're going to be in the next 10 years. They care about winning playoff games, chasing the state title. And you got to kind of look at it that way, like, how much longer do you have on this earth? Do you want to be, bruised and beaten from a young age all the way up?
Oh yeah.
And I'm not, directly referring to, because 15 years old is old enough. But, when I see a lot of these 8-year-olds arm wrestling, it's like, man, that's a lot of pain. That's a lot of pressure. And if they do that year after year after year, I don't know. I just kind of see it.
Europeans, they're only in it for,
Yeah.
20 years. If they start at 10, they're done by 30.
Yeah, man. And I mean, you see it a lot with power lifters. I've seen it a lot. They start at 14, 15 years old. I started powerlifting at that age, but they go crazy hard until they're about 25, 26. That's when they start kind of, coming off, stopping. And it's because it's really hard on your body. And it's why when you see a lot of these collegiate NFL players or college basketball players, 99% of them have great genetics just to be able to withstand the trauma, you know, on their joints, their tendons, their ligaments, their muscle, everything. It does a lot. It does a number over the years. You got to look at longevity. It's another thing with practicing crazy hard. How many hits do you have in your arm? It's kind of the same way with how many punches can a UFC fighter take on his chin? How hard's he going to spar? How much until it's just kind of game over.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, look at Chuck Liddell. Everybody thought his jaw was granite until it got.
Yeah, man.
And then after that, he was done.
Dude, I
Yeah.
did a commercial with him, and he looks like he was like, like he had like the eyes. I was like, oh boy, man, he
Yeah,
got.
man, it's a real thing. You see a lot of these fighters start falling off because, and a lot of people think they're just declining athletically, and they're still super athletic fighters. They're, still great. They're in their prime, believe it or not, but their brain, their chin, it's done. And once that falls off, once that's gone, it's not coming back. And you got, I think you got to look at what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Before you start just completely putting all your eggs into one basket. I think it's something people need to realize. Yeah, unless you're making $1 million doing something that's destroying your body, you gotta be
$1 million
smart
isn't
with.
even worth it.
Yeah.
What's
Well,
$1
I mean, $1 million a year is pretty good, but
a year, maybe, but
that's what I'm saying. Not just $1 million.
$1 million, and it's having to last them, 4 or 5 years, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
No, I mean there's a lot, man. I mean there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of factors, and I just think you can limit the chance of injury and the chance of trauma through training just a little bit smarter. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you have to just be super soft within your training, but this also isn't Rocky IV. We're not
Correct.
we're not overseas getting ready to fight the Russian. Like, come on now. We're just we our goal, and I think every arm wrestler's goal is just to get better each day. And that's within some aspect, get better within each tournament, within each practice, work on something, steps, small steps, little by little.
Yeah,
You
we're
know,
not
'cause-
fighting. We're not fighting each other. We're fighting. We're fighting ourselves.
Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, you're only going to be as good as what you have, made yourself.
Yeah.
And when you're training too hard, you're almost going to be, you're just going to be taking steps back versus train a little lighter, take one step back, two steps forward. Do that. Over the course of a few years, you're going to see great progress. Injury free, staying injury free is going to be your number one. At least that's my number one, and it should be everybody's. Because if you're staying injury free, you're able to keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna get better at it.
Yep.
You start getting these little kinks everywhere, man, and that's when it starts, and it doesn't stop. Things start compensating for other. I could go on for hours about
yeah.
this. It's a crazy subject, but
Um,
be safe.
So, Bo, what do you think now that you've won the Arnold? I mean, I'm sure that you're going to have your eyes set on another big event. What do you got planned?
So right now, the next big event is Nationals, IFA Nationals. April 4th is the weigh-in, 5th is the competition.
Beautiful.
I'll be cutting down to 189 for that. So got a little bit more weight to go, not too bad. And then after that,
195?
one more time.
Didn't you say you're sitting at 195 right now?
Yeah, I was. As soon as I came back from the gym, dude, this diet that I've been doing has been doing real well for me. But
You're golden.
Yeah, I only got a couple more pounds, and I'll be ready for that. But I'm going to win a national title there at 189, and then after that, my next goal, I would like to get a super match with somebody that's in the top 20 at 198, because I feel like I'll be ranked at 189 after nationals, and then I would love to get whether it's number 20, number 19, 18 on the 198 in the Hook ranking list.
Beautiful, beautiful. If I can help you out with that, if I can facilitate it, you know what I mean? At the minimum, if I can, host it, I mean, obviously we don't have the money to fly people in and all that stuff, but I know for sure that you're going to get nice quality fair reffing, and it'll be, we put on a show for you, just as much as the people watching, what I mean?
You always treat me real well, Billy. You're always a very fair ref. That's my thing, man. I love strict reffing.
Yes.
I hate loose rules. I hate loose rules. Start me straight, start a square, flat wrist.
Yep.
Lower the webbing, you know what I mean? That's what
I didn't even know that was a thing, dude. I didn't know loose reffing was a thing until somebody told me that. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, there's rules. Like, you either abide by them or you don't. If you don't, you get a foul. What do you mean loose reffing?
Strict reffing for sure. And Bo, you'll learn this, the more you talk to me about this reffing and all this stuff, and if you ever come back over, and the strict reffing is way, way better for the ref itself, himself or herself. It takes all the guesswork out of everything.
Yeah.
You see a call, and Leonard told me this whenever I got my certification. He goes, strict reffing is way nicer for you to deal with. Either the foul happened or it didn't.
Yeah.
And those are the two things that you got to think about. If you do the loose reffing, then you go, oh, well, is it, this is okay. And then is that okay? Or, it's a pain in the butt if you're doing loose reffing.
And I will tell you, if anybody says I am not a strict ref, they're lying, because my dad competed in Morgantown.
I saw that.
Yeah, my dad competed in Morgantown.
Poor guy got fouled out by his boy.
Yeah,
you fouled him out?
I didn't foul him out. This is what I told him. I said, I didn't foul you out. You fouled yourself, and I called.
Yep, put it
and he was
back
like,
on.
I can't believe you fouled your dad out.
That's hilarious, dude.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When you pull under strict reffing consistently, and then you go and pull at a tournament where it's a little looser, they almost make it out to be like you're the one who's cheating right now,
Right?
Because you're wanting everything to be fair.
There's a certain ref that I will not say his name. But dude, I will not say his name, but I hate whenever he referees me, because here's a straight wrist. I will start and my wrist is like this, and I will be saying to him, my wrist is turned under, ready, go. And then I got to start with my wrist cocked back like this. I hate that.
Yeah, man. I personally, there's been a lot of controversy behind the strict reffing. Personally, I like Billy's reffing. I haven't been reffed by Billy in a couple years, but I do like his reffing. But Sean Hancock, Leonard, those are my favorite refs.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it drives people crazy. They're like, oh, I want to see the match. I want to see him pull. I don't want to see people get fouled. Well, guess what, dude? If we both start fair, we're going to pull every time. And there's not going to be any issues. It's as simple as that. And that's why,
my opinion.
What is it?
My opinion, it's faster too.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's as simple as this, man. You're going to listen to the ref, or you're not going to be pulling. You're going to get fouled out.
Yep.
And then there's a lot of those old school refs that you can be turned in like this, And like, you can have your wrist dang near 50% cupped in and they'll start you because they're an old school ref. And back in their day, that's what they did. They didn't have the rules that we have now.
Oh
So
man.
notice is you'll grip up, those guys will be turned into the hook already, or their hands going to be starting to come out like this for a top roll. Ready, go.
They
Yep.
used to do a ready go, and then you could carve, and then a go again. The older refs did. So they'd go ready,
That's
go,
different.
go. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
off the first go, all you could do is like hand flexion, hand and wrist flexion.
Yeah.
And then the second go is when you could actually fire.
That's
And
horrible.
Yeah, I'd hate that.
oh, dude, I don't understand why it was ever a thing. But I mean, you probably saw less guys getting flashed, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
probably why it happened. Because I mean, before that you had what was it, wrist wrestling, where
Yeah.
it. So the sports evolved for sure. But I love the way strict refing is done. I'm just gonna call it good refing. If it's strict, it's good. If it's not, it's bad.
I'm not a fan of AAA reffing. That's why AAA is basically dead now. But some of those guys in the South, they still do it. But I explained to them that, IFA and WAF, there's a reason why those two are the two biggest right now. You know what I mean? Because they're reffing the best. Because their
Yeah.
slip in a losing position, there's nothing that really says where the slip in the losing position is. If I talk to 3 different refs at a competition, they each have a different discretion for where the slip is in a losing position.
Yeah,
And
it's all over the place for
I
sure.
had a guy, I was pinning a guy, had him like this close to the pin pad, like not even an inch. I'll give him an inch. And he slipped. And like, I was like losing position. He said straps. And I said, no. And the down ref talked to the head ref and said that was a slip in a losing position. But earlier in the competition, I got a clean foul and he called me a loss in the losing position. So, and their rules are just very loose.
It's that whole term there. I mean, it's very vague. Losing position, like, and there's not really a losing position on the table unless you're just getting held and played with. Because there's so many variables,
There
so many
is.
things that can happen.
There actually is. It's the top of the pin peg and the top of the pad. Correct, Billy?
Yeah.
If they're between the top of the pin pad and the top of the peg and they slip, that is a losing position.
So that's what justifies
You
it, not
have
hand control.
3 criteria for
Yes.
that. And most likely, if you're in that position, most likely you're gonna be doing one of those 3 criterias in order to get that loss. Slipping it over there. But you have to have a quality ref to be able to understand what he's looking at and be able to make
So
that.
it's a very small area. I mean, and I guess that really matters too. If somebody's flop pressing, you're going over top of their hand, you slip that way.
The hand control.
Yeah, so that's another factor there too. That's
That
why
doesn't
the losing position thing is just a weird. It's a weird thing to me because if somebody's flop pressing you to the pad and you slip an inch above the pad because you're pronated, well, you're pronated because they're flop pressing you. Like you didn't really have a choice. They're so fast off the ready go.
Yeah, that's a straps then. That's not a loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
It should be every time. I love seeing all slips go to the straps personally. I love that. I mean, unless it's something, somebody's right at the pin pad and they slip and it could have been a pin, then it gets a little weird. But I just like seeing straps, regardless. I love seeing, a lot of times guys go to the table and just both agree to go to the straps. Cool.
That
Yeah.
saves a lot of time.
Saves a lot of energy too. Yeah, it's great.
Sam Miller said, "Looking forward to watching you at Nationals, big dog."
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that, bro. Sam's part of my team.
Nice. Let's say Dan Adkins. He says, "Way to go this entire past 12 months, Bo. You're a perfect example, and it shows what true dedication will do for you."
Thank you, Danny. I appreciate you.
Yep. Let's see. Trevor Moden asked about sit down arm wrestling. Aftermath Arms give him some information. Michael Nance in the house too. Awesome. But yeah. So, Bo, like we said earlier, we definitely congratulate you. It takes a lot of dedication and hard work to become a Arnold champion. We definitely take our hats off to you for it.
Thank
you
you,
know,
sir.
another big task coming up, being able to win a national title. You know,
Just
is it going to be easier? Is it going to be harder? It depends on who shows up.
yeah. I mean, as of right now, and by the way, thank you very much. As of right now, I believe I will definitely walk away with a gold unless there is one person there that I can think of off the top of my head that competed last year. So if he's there, I'm definitely gonna have some trouble. But if he's not there, or he decides to go to the lighter weight class, which there's a possibility he will, I definitely think I'll be bringing home the gold.
You know, it's hard to say too, man, but it's so hard to say who's going to show up to a tournament
Yep.
because, you know, sometimes just, you know, shit happens. Family things come up, life happens. So I've kind of got to the mindset of I stopped worrying about who was going to show up and I just started worrying about how I was going to show up.
Yeah.
Like I can't control anything other than how I show up and what position, you know, how I'm feeling. And man, mentally, it's been a game changer for me. And I'm not saying, you know, you have to do this by any means.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, and I think when you're mentally focused and you feel good, you feel strong mentally. I mean, man, it's great. It's there's no better feeling in the world. And I can tell you felt that way at the Arnold before you competed, you know, just talking to you leading up. It's huge, man. The power of your mind is just it's huge. It really
Yeah.
is.
Funny thing is, I was very ready for the Arnold's, but you always have that self doubt a little bit. You know, of course, everybody doubts himself a little bit. I was telling the guys at work, my buddies, whatever. I said I just would love to place top 5 right hand and left hand. I said I just want to get one win, and I got 5th place left hand, and I beat a very strong guy, and I beat another strong dude too, left-handed. Wasn't expecting to beat the one, but walked away with the gold right hand. That's for a mental aspect for me going into nationals. That was a very big confidence booster getting first at
Yeah,
Arnold.
man. Gets that momentum going. You know,
Yeah.
you're on a roll now.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I know when I pulled nationals last year, I went in kind of the same mentality. You know, I didn't really have any expectations. I was coming off a loss in a super match to Sam Tabbert at that time. Real close 2-3 loss. And I said, you know, we're gonna pull nationals. I'm gonna pull at 230 because I was walking around, you know, probably about 222. Didn't want to cut. Felt good. Felt strong. So I'm gonna go in here completely hydrated. You know, well nourished, recovered, and we're just gonna go in here and pull and see what happens. You know, and no expectations led me to a national championship. So.
That's
You know,
incredible.
sometimes, yeah, I mean, walking in, being overly confident and cocky, not good.
I
No,
100%, bro.
I
I
think that
think being
with your
confident within
focus,
your
really,
preparation is huge. You know,
that over cockiness and I think it really can subliminally mess with your focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have that humble mindset, I think your focus, personally, I know my focus is out the window. You know what I mean? I tend to think about like you said, Cody, you tend to think about other people instead of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where I've kind of put myself, man, is a lot of people might think I come off as cocky, but it's not that. It's just that I work so hard that I'm more or less confident that what I've done is going to put me up on the podium rather than I'm just way better than everybody else. So it's never it's never a bad thing. Like I'm never meaning that in a negative way towards anybody else. Like I never mean that they're not good. It's
Yeah.
just that I believe what I've done has made me on this day better. And you
Yep.
know, some people might not like that, but that's just the truth. You know, that's kind of how I see things in my mind when I'm training hard. That's just kind of the way my mind works, and it's always been like that. You know, and I've gotten my ass handed to me thinking the exact same way. But
Yeah.
you know, it
Mhm.
happens.
Yeah.
I think nationals was the only exception, really, where I went in there was like, all right, I don't know who's shown up, I don't really care, but I'm just gonna do what I can do, and you know, really was just hoping to come out of there with a good understanding of what level I was at. And yeah, I still kind of didn't, but yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard.
I seen in the comments my beautiful fiance commented on there, and
Yep.
I just wanted to say we are getting married in May, and we are both very excited.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
We're very excited.
Oh,
And
let's
she was, dude, y'all don't even understand. She was such a huge support for me.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We were, I was so worried about Arnold's, and like we prayed like all the time about it, and we just prayed that you don't pray to win, you pray that you do your best and you be strong and be fast, And that's what we were doing. And God pulled through for me and let me do my very best. Before almost every match, I said a prayer, and especially backstage, man, I was, just to be safe and do my very best.
You need to have that, man. You need to have that, that by your side. That support is huge, and I don't think people really realize how huge that is. And yeah, that's something that I recently started doing about a year ago. Was praying before all of my matches. And it's not something that's. I don't think it's something that I would ever do to. I don't really pray to, like you said, pray to win.
Yeah.
Or pray to, I just pray to stay healthy, stay in a good spot and keep myself from getting hurt. And
yeah, I even prayed for my teammates that came down with us, Eli, Bryce, and Logan. I prayed prayed over top all those guys just for them to do their very best and be strong and be fast.
That's great, man. That's great. And you were at Arnold Friday and Saturday. Did you go Sunday too, Bo?
Unfortunately, we were not able to stay Sunday. We had to come home that day on Saturday.
Just to shed some light on what the significant others that support arm wrestlers go through. How long would you say that your fiance was at the Arnold there, Friday and Saturday?
The entire day, ever since. So we got there. What time did we get there? For weigh-in started at 3. We got there at 2. We were there from 2 until probably 6 or 7 o'clock that evening. Came back the next morning on Friday, competition day, and we stood there the entire day from about 8:15 until
like 10 o'clock at night almost, right? It wasn't like 8:30.
And the thing is, there's no chairs. There was no chairs at all.
No.
So our knees were killing us, our backs were killing us. And then Saturday, she came. She woke up early. She went down to the gym, worked out, came upstairs. We got ready, and I had to be there at 8 a.m. So she woke up at like 5:30 to go work out and come upstairs. And we were leaving that day. So we had to pack all of our stuff, be there by 8 a.m. We stayed until probably 2:30, 3 o'clock. And then we had about a 4.5, 5-hour drive home.
There's a lot to be said about that, man. I mean, that's a lot of hours, you know. It's a lot of hours. That's great. You need that. You need that for sure.
And she's the best support system I have,
That's awesome.
Her and my family, for my parents, they both came out, and we had 2 friends that also came out with us, and I genuinely appreciate the support they gave me this past weekend.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
It's always nice seeing the support, from the friends and family for sure.
100%. And my 2 buddies, Hunter and Brennan, also came out to support me, and I appreciate those guys.
Yep, first time meeting them. They're pretty cool dudes.
Very cool guys too. Very cool guys.
They were at my house on Thursday.
Nice.
I was like, if you guys are going to the Arnold's tomorrow, why aren't you even pulling today? Oh, they just wanted to have some fun. So, I mean, obviously, Hunter didn't get a whole ton of work. He's feeling like a freight train right now.
Oh, I know it.
And I always like getting with Brennan. He's still learning in that aspect, so it's always nice getting a grip up with him and show him things.
Brennan's been doing pretty good too. His numbers have been going up, and him and Hunter are both looking very good right now. And like I said, I was pulling with Hunter and Tim 2 weeks before the Arnold's, and man, me and Hunter, we were going like 20 rounds back to back to back. It's still healing up right now. I don't know if you can tell, but dude, I had a blister about the size of a quarter on my wrist currently.
That's
I got to pull with him a little bit right and left-handed too. I got to pull with a ton of people at the Arnold, man. It was great.
Yeah.
I kind of overdid it too, because you can't tell people no.
Yep.
I tried to use it as training, so I'm sitting there like trying to do different things on different people. And then they were just trying to, you know, kind of pull me over. So I had to stop doing that and then go back to where I was comfortable. And yeah, overdid it a little bit. But, you know, you're at the Arnold, man. You're going to see a lot of people that you're probably not going to see for the rest of the year. If you're going to choose one day to cheat on your training, make it that day. You know?
Well, I'll tell you what, there was something that crazy happened. Like we did the after polling, you know, after I finished my championship match. I had this big old country boy come down and he told me he never arm wrestled before, just, you know, with his buddies drinking or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, we'll try it out. And he's probably about 270, 280. And we started pulling. And I went like 60% at first. He pulled me down. I was like, all right, I'll go 80. Pulled me down. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give him the beans now. So I went 100. This dude straight pulled me down to the pad like nothing. And I was like, you have to have arm wrestled before, right? And he's like, no, this is my first time ever getting an arm wrestling table. I said, you need to find a team right now. I was like, dude, you are insanely strong and not knowing anything. Like I just told him, like, watch your hand, keep your hip on the table, and drop your body weight. And then I brought Eli Kerr over, and he did the same thing to Eli. And I was like, this kid is strong.
You should have got his information for sure.
I did. His I don't know his last name, but he's from the Fargo area. I think that's near North Dakota, right?
North Dakota, yeah.
Yeah, he lives in North Dakota, and one of the guys told him there's about a team 3 hours from him. I said, you need to get a hold of these guys, dude. You can be very strong.
In North Dakota, that's close too.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big state.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not very populated. Yeah, man. Some of the strongest dudes that I know that aren't arm wrestlers can actually like hang with some, you know, lower level arm wrestlers. And you know, even though I've only been arm wrestling for, I think this year in April will be 4 years for me. I was arm wrestling, you know, at parties and with my friends and throughout high school. I mean, for years before that. And there was a few times I got that weird pain from just arm wrestling all night and not, you know, and it's crazy. I never knew what that pain was. I remembered my arm just aching and I was like, it'll go away, you know. And then, of course, when you're on arm wrestling a lot, that pain does go away because you're not doing it the next week. So, yeah, man, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of, and a lot of arm wrestlers have kind of came out of the woodwork too, from social media, kind of blowing this thing up. You see a lot of newer guys, you know, coming into the sport, and it's like, wow, that dude's really strong. Mm-hmm. See, he's been arm wrestling for 5 years already, just for fun with people all the time. You know, he's just now figuring out that he can actually do this, and it's great. Yeah, that's what our sport needs for sure.
Yeah, incredible to see someone with just that type of natural, and his hand was he just clamped down on my thumb and just pulled me down like nothing. I was like, man, this kid is insanely strong.
Yeah, man, you get a lot of hand strength. I mean, a lot. I think when I first got into the sport, people said mechanics have the strongest hands. I don't think your job title necessarily matters. It's just what you do, you know, from a day-to-day basis. You know, I'll walk around at work sometimes. Like I was, you know, we had some small base cabinets we were setting in this house. I was walking around palming these base cabinets, you know, they're 20, 25 pounds, whatever, not very crazy heavy, but palming base cabinets to walk them across the room to set them. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
You know, grabbing bumper plates in the gym, palm them, walk them over, you know, grip the outside. Little things can just indirectly train your hand. But some of these farm kids, man, they do it every day without trying to train their hand. Yep. You know, it's just a way of life.
For sure. For sure.
Wild.
But all right, guys. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today's show. Unless anybody has anything else. If anybody has any comments or questions in the chat, go ahead and post them. Hunter Ayers, he was in the chat, was watching you kill it, Bo. Good job.
Thank you, bro.
Pest Goat, he said, I still know that pain. Thanks, Bo. Not sure who that is, but let's see. Jamie James, Bo touched Levon at King of the Table and gained 20% power.
I did. It was crazy, man. It just transferred right over.
Nice.
I feel it still in my veins right now.
Beautiful. Trevor Moden said mechanics and farmers for sure.
Yeah, I do agree that guys who do blue collar work, they definitely have that natural. Like Logan Bittinger. Look at Logan Bittinger. He worked on a farm, just, you know, with his family for years upon years. His first practice, he came to at Zach's house. He picked up a whole wood stove, just wrapped his arms around it, and walked it into Zach's house. This wood stove weighed like 200, 300 pounds, and he just picked it up like nothing and carried it. I was like, and the kid's like 20, 21. I was like, this kid is insanely strong.
Yeah.
Talk to a lot of people, man. I feel like just regular arm wrestling hand training is not enough.
Yeah.
Work a blue collar job or work do something all day long. Your hand's gonna recover.
Functional strength.
Yeah, it's functional strength. It really is. There's a lot of big, strong dudes in the gym that probably, they're gonna be struggling to pick up the other end of a refrigerator.
Yep.
And then there's vice versa. There's dudes that'll carry, move stuff all day long. They can't bench, 250 pounds, but they'll pick up, washing machines by themselves, carry them onto a loading truck. I think if you get, and I've,
it's all about here, in every aspect, moving furniture, for instance, it's all about what you know. And the same thing goes for lifting in the gym. If you actually know how to lift, it's easier to lift the weight.
Oh yeah, man. It's all skill, you want to get really
understand
good at
what you're doing first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to get really good at bench pressing. What do? You bench press, And it takes time. It's repetition over time, and it builds that skill, and then the strength follows. And when I first got into the sport, my arm had to catch up to my hand. My hand was way stronger than my arm.
Really?
Yeah, so my hand was really, really good just from doing, I started, I worked on a farm, lived on a farm for like 5 years from when I was like 10 to 15. And then that's how I made my money during the summer months before football, was baling hay and things of that nature. I went to school to be a mechanic, so I went to a trade school for 2 years. So, I mean, I had a lot of, I had a lot of strength in my hand to where it was all the time I was getting put in a hook, getting killed. So then my arm strength caught up with my hand, and then I just started making my hand even stronger. And then that's where it was like, okay, that's what I had to do. I couldn't imagine if it was vice versa. If my arm was so strong and my hand was weaker, having to that's something hard to train, man. That's something that takes a lot of time.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
Yeah. Michael Nance said mechanics have always made for the strongest arm wrestlers.
It definitely helps. They usually have good hands and wrists.
Yeah, man. You go and shake like a mason's hand. Some of you just brick all day, like they're palming bricks
like
all day, like it's nothing.
Man, Michael Hawks up in New York, his hands, dude. When you grab a hold of his hands, it's like they're a literal cinder block you're grabbing a hold of.
I do a lot of drywall work too, a lot of drywall finishing, and that's crazy. I mean, the hand and forearm pump you get just from finishing a little bit of drywall. Joel Hudick, for example, dude has really strong hand. And, he's been finishing drywall for a long time. There's a lot of these guys that don't even have to train their hand and wrist. They do it all day long.
Yep,
for sure.
They just work on the fundamentals and they get crazy good. Nick Zenna.
That's
I
what
don't know if anybody remembers Nick Zenna, but
that's what I tell guys, because like people ask me, they're like, how often do you train forearms? I said, every day I work out. And they're like, well, why do you do that? I said, well, you got mechanics and you got farmers that train their hands every single day and forearms every single day, but that's just work to them. So
yes,
it's the same exact thing if you train forearms or hands or wrist in the gym.
Mike said that Masons have strong hands but not great arms.
I mean, they have I wouldn't say not great. I would say their hands are stronger than their arms.
Really strong cores, man. Carrying around 50-pound bags of mortar all day long. Having to walk upstairs and brace and climbing scaffolding. Those are some strong dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, you get them on
construction workers too.
Oh yeah,
and everything. Somebody swinging a hammer.
Yeah,
that chopping ability.
Yeah,
definitely. Jamie James says to do a 3-stage torque step on a Detroit DD15 cylinder head, you'll have a pump.
The torque and head bolts.
It is, Jamie.
Torque and head bolts, I'd imagine, is what he's talking about. Is that what he said?
Yeah, cylinder head. Yep.
On a what motor was it?
DD15 Detroit.
I think it's a big semi motor.
Probably.
Yeah, he works diesel.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, dude, those head bolts get cranked to. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they get cranked to like something ungodly, like 600 foot-pounds or something of torque.
Wow.
I forget exactly what it is, but it's a
Are the bolts
ridiculous
made out
amount.
of diamond?
What is it?
What are the bolts made out of? Diamond or something? Jeez.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Yeah, torque and head bolts. I mean, even on just cars, just on your car itself, torque and head bolts. I mean, they get torqued down pretty serious because they have to.
But sounds good. But all right, guys. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap it up. Bo, thank you for being on the show with us. Like I said, congratulations on your win at the Arnold. It's a definitely a great accomplishment, especially for somebody short in the sport as yourself.
Thank you. I really
You've
appreciate
been
it.
doing it what, 3 years, something like that?
Just over 3.5 years. Yeah, July will make 4 years for me, so I'm getting close. But I
They would
really,
start arm wrestling around the same time then. That's crazy.
yeah, I know. Whenever you said April earlier, I was like, man, we've been arm wrestling for almost the exact same time.
That's wild.
That's awesome. But yeah, I genuinely appreciate you inviting me on tonight, fellas. Thank you very much.
Great having you, man. Made a great guest. You made a lot of great points. And
Thank you.
if anybody's newer to this sport and you're listening to this podcast, take some notes. Nothing we say is ever going to hurt you. We're never
Yeah.
going to be trying to hurt anybody. So
Yep.
if it doesn't
Yeah.
work for you and you try it, great. You found out.
Yeah.
Yep, sure.
If anybody ever has any questions, feel free to message me, or I'm assuming these gentlemen as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to watch some fun arm wrestling matches, subscribe to my YouTube as well as Billy Collins' YouTube. Cody, do you have a YouTube? I don't.
Yeah, man, I've got a ton. I feel like I've got like 85 subscribers.
Yeah, subscribe to
I
Cody.
throw.
Hard to come by sometimes.
They
Oh
are
man,
fun to come
for arm wrestling content, yeah.
by.
Yeah.
I post. I actually
And
just
if you want to
recently
get
started posting
subscribers,
everything,
just play Fortnite. You'll get like
Yeah.
1,000.
Twitch stream at 2 a.m. Send them
Yeah.
all over to my YouTube channel to watch arm wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cody, thanks for being here as always. My co-host, can't thank
Yes,
you
sir. Thanks for having me.
on this journey. Bo, thanks again. Everybody in the chat, thanks for being here. Thanks for your comments and your questions.
Yeah.
Once again, like I said last time, if you don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, I urge you to have one of those relationships today. Now, we're not going to live forever. You got to
That's
go
right.
2 places. So
No better time than the present.
exactly. Thanks everybody for being here. Have a wonderful night and God bless.
God bless.